Hi, I'm Mina. My dad bought my sister a house for graduation. Keys, ribbon, the whole dream. Me? I opened an envelope. It was a bill. $46,000. My gift. They said I'd understand, that I'm strong, that I'd help. But then I found out they forged my name on her mortgage, used my credit for her student loan. How do you stay loyal to a family that sees you as the backup plan? Worse than the betrayal? Was realizing it wasn't a mistake. It was the plan all along. So, what would you do if your own family turned you into their safety net? It was just past 3 on a warm Saturday afternoon. I had my laptop open, a half-finished iced coffee sweating onto a coaster beside me, and a client waiting for a UI mock-up by Monday. I should have been focused. Instead, I glanced at my phone after a buzz lit up the screen. A Facebook tag. A college friend had posted a photo, the kind you'd expect from a wedding or baby shower. But it was a party, a big one. There were balloons, string lights, a giant "Congrats Aria" banner, stretched across a beautifully staged living room I didn't recognize. The caption hit me first. "So proud of our baby Aria, MBA grad and new homeowner. What a gift from the best parents in the world." I blinked. No one had told me. Not even a casual mention in the family group text. Not a call, not a heads up. Scrolling further, the knot in my stomach twisted tighter. There was my father, Gerald, standing proudly with Aurea in front of a brand new house, modern, 2-story white brick with navy shutters. He was holding up a set of keys, smiling like a proud game show host. Mom stood next to them, beaming like they'd just married her off to royalty. I looked at the timestamp. This wasn't next week. This wasn't later today. This was happening now. I grabbed my phone and shot a text to Mom. "The house looks beautiful. Thanks for the invite." 3 dots popped up immediately. Her reply came fast. "Oh, honey, Aria said you were probably busy with work. We didn't want to bother you." Bother me? I was her sister, not a neighbor, not a coworker, not a stranger off the street. I stared at the message. Then I stared out my apartment window. The sun felt dimmer. The next day, out of a strange sense of habit or politeness, I still can't tell which, I drove over for Sunday dinner. The usual roast, the usual mashed potatoes, the usual pretending. Dinner was uneventful until my father pushed a white envelope across the table toward me. "Your graduation gift," he said, his voice too casual. I hadn't graduated recently, that was years ago, but I opened it anyway. Inside was a neatly printed spreadsheet. Dates, itemized expenses, total balances, rent support during college, groceries, utility bills, even a dentist visit from 7 years ago. The bottom line? $46,218. "You've always been the responsible one," he said. "We figured now that you're doing well, it's time you helped out. Aria doesn't have much saved. We just thought you'd understand." Understand? Understand that my sister got a home and I got a bill? That while she was being toasted, I was being invoiced? I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the paper back in their faces like I wanted to. I just smiled, cold, distant, unreadable. I folded the list slowly, tucked it back into the envelope, and looked at both of them. They seemed relieved by my silence. But something inside me was already gone. I sat in my car for a long time after dinner, engine off, headlights catching specks of dust floating through the evening air. The envelope sat in my lap, its flap neatly sealed again, as if that could erase the insult printed inside. $46,000. That was my gift. A full accounting of everything they'd ever done for me, reduced to a balance sheet. And yet, they stood there, sipping sweet tea like it was just another Sunday. My phone buzzed against the console, pulling me out of my spiral. Dad's name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. It rang again. I picked up this time, still too stunned to think straight. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, voice overly chipper. "I just wanted to follow up on that little note. We were thinking, since you're doing well now, maybe you could help Aurea with her mortgage. Just until she finds her footing." I stared through the windshield, watching the neighbor's porch light flicker on. "She doesn't have much saved yet," he added, like it was obvious. "But you do. You've always been smart with money." There it was again, that line, that twisted compliment. "You're so capable, so we'll keep taking from you." I swallowed back the lump rising in my throat and spoke slowly. You gave her a house, Dad. You gave her keys and threw a party, and you handed me debt. And now you want me to pitch in? He didn't skip a beat. This isn't about that, he said. This is about family. We do what we can to help each other. It's not favoritism, it's just, life's been harder on Aurea. Harder? I thought about the years I'd lived off canned soup, the months I'd worked 3 gigs just to pay for my own laptop. I'd spent nights parked in a Walmart lot, too proud to call home for help. Aurea? She went from dorm to condo to full house without lifting a finger for any of it. But I didn't scream. I didn't let my voice shake. Dad, I've helped everyone for years, quietly, and now you've turned my reliability into an open wallet. There was a pause, then a sigh. You always take things too personally, Mina. We didn't mean to upset you. I hung up before I said something I couldn't pull back. I sat in that car, keys untouched, for nearly 10 minutes. It wasn't just the numbers on that paper that hurt. It was the realization that this wasn't an oversight. It was policy. My parents didn't just forget me. They'd planned around me, counted on me to carry the weight. Not because they loved me more, but because I was easier to take from. I didn't sleep well that night. My thoughts were loud, racing circles while the room stayed quiet. By morning, I still hadn't unpacked what happened. I just moved through my routine like a ghost, made coffee, checked my client inbox, deleted 2 spam job offers. Then came the email. Subject line, I hate how this feels between us. It was from Aurea. The message was syrupy at first, full of shared childhood memories and half-hearted affection. Remember when we used to build blanket forts in the living room? I always felt safer when you were around. But by the 3rd paragraph, the sweetness soured. You've always been the strong one. Can't you just help? The way you always do? My chest tightened. The words weren't new. I'd heard them, versions of them, all my life. They weren't really compliments. They were instructions disguised as admiration. I hovered over the reply box, typing, if being strong means being invisible, then yes, I've nailed it. I erased it. Typed again. How convenient that your love always shows up when you need something. Deleted that too. She knew what buttons to press, and I hated that they still worked. By mid-afternoon, I needed air. I needed truth. So I drove across town to see Aunt Darla. Her house smelled like lemon oil and old cookbooks. She made tea without asking. I sat at her kitchen island, staring at the grain in the wood, and told her everything. The party, the house, the gift, and now the guilt campaign. Darla didn't interrupt. She let me talk until my throat felt dry. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. Your mom was like that once, the strong one, the steady one, until the weight broke her. I looked up. She didn't flinch. She was the one who took care of everyone, her parents, her siblings, and they drained her. Then she met your dad and thought she'd finally be cherished. But old habits don't die, Mina. They get passed on. It hit me like a brick. Mom didn't become passive. She was trained into it. And now she was training me. Darla placed her hand over mine. Your mom didn't break the cycle, but you still can. That night, I sat in bed with my journal. I wasn't writing to vent. I was documenting, recording patterns, dates, wording. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was aware. If this was generational, I was done being the next link in the chain. My eyes were dry, but my chest throbbed like I'd been crying all night. I hadn't slept, not really. The account was still listed under the nickname my mom gave it when I was 17, Mina's college fund. Only now, the balance was barely 4 digits. I refreshed the page twice, no error. I called the bank. The woman on the line was polite, too polite. Yes, ma'am. The account was formally transferred to another holder last August. I have here, Aurea Lane. She said it so casually, like it was a joint Netflix account, not the fund my mother swore was mine and mine alone. No notification, no signature, just gone. My brain didn't scream. It went silent. I stood in the shower longer than usual, trying to piece it together. The memory came back sharp. I was 17, sitting in the passenger seat of Mom's old Honda, driving to the credit union on Lamar. This is for you, she had said, placing her hand on mine. Whatever happens, this is yours, for your future. That was the only time she'd made me feel like mine mattered. Now it was clear. I was just a placeholder. a deposit box they could unlock when it was convenient. By mid-afternoon, I was parked outside their house again. I didn't call, I didn't text. I walked in like I belonged because I did. Marilyn was folding towels in the living room. She looked up like she wasn't surprised, like she'd been waiting for this confrontation. "Did you give my account to Aurea?" I asked. No warm-up, no buffer. She froze, then quietly. "She needed help. And you've always had your own way, Mina. I thought you'd understand." That phrase again. I thought you'd understand, like it was a spell to justify anything. I looked her in the eye, level. "No, what you thought was that I'd stay quiet, that I'd keep letting you siphon off my future to fuel hers." Gerald walked in, arms crossed, eyebrows raised like I was the irrational one. "If either of you takes one more thing from me," I said calmly, "I will take something back, and it won't be words." They didn't argue. Gerald waved me off like a mosquito. But I saw it. A flicker of fear. Not guilt, not remorse, just discomfort. The moment they realized I wasn't bluffing anymore. I left without slamming the door. Drove home with one hand on the wheel, the other gripping that promise I was no longer willing to let them rewrite. Later that evening, I opened my email archive. I searched by keyword, loan. Buried beneath receipts and old appointment reminders was a flagged thread from 4 years ago. Subject, urgent, need help covering balance before deadline. I clicked, and there it was. The email thread opened to a familiar PDF, a credit card statement my mom had sent 4 years ago when she claimed they were in a crisis. She said it was for medical bills. She even mentioned a specialist out of network. I'd wired money the same day, no questions asked. But this time, I actually looked at the document. There it was. A $4,200 charge at West Elm. I froze. Same month Aurea moved into her grad school apartment. Same month she posted a tour of her fresh start on Instagram, including the same beige sectional couch with throw pillows that now haunted my memory. I leaned back in my chair, trying not to shake. They didn't just lie to me. They made me part of the lie. They dressed it up in need and wrapped it in guilt. And I paid for it. Literally. An hour later, I was in my car again. I don't even remember starting the engine. It was like my body moved faster than my thoughts. All I knew was I couldn't carry this knowledge alone. This time, I didn't knock. Mom was in the kitchen sorting mail. She turned, surprised but not apologetic. She rarely looked apologetic anymore. "Was it a good couch at least?" I asked, tossing the printed statement on the counter. She blinked. "Excuse me?" "The $4,200 you told me was for medical bills," I said flatly. "Turns out it bought Aurea a matching set. Sofa, armchair, coffee table. Classy." She looked at the paper, then at me. We didn't have another option. She deserved to feel like she earned something after everything she's gone through. "You mean after everything you've given her?" I replied. Her mouth opened, but I cut in. "You took my help and used it to spoil her. That's not love, Mom. That's theft. You turned my generosity into her entitlement." That's when Dad stepped in from the hallway, scowling like I'd interrupted their peace. "Stop making everything about you, Mina. You've always been so dramatic." I laughed. One sharp, hollow sound. "No, I've just finally stopped letting you use my silence as consent." They stood there stunned, while I picked up my purse. "This is the last time you twist my loyalty into a transaction," I said. Neither of them stopped me. Neither even moved. I walked out without slamming the door. They didn't deserve the drama. They only deserved the distance. 2 days passed in quiet. No calls, no fake apologies. Then a bank alert popped up on my phone. "New credit inquiry. Your name has been used to request a loan." But this wasn't an old mistake resurfacing. This was fresh, and it wasn't me. My thumb trembled as I tapped the bank alert. A mortgage inquiry tied to my name. It didn't make sense until it did. I pulled my credit report. There it was. A loan application dated 2 years ago, co-signed under my name. The property address? The very same house Aurea moved into after graduation. The one my parents claimed was a gift. I never signed anything. I never even saw a single document. I called the bank immediately. The customer service rep was polite, professional, too professional. "Yes, Miss Lane, the file lists you as co-signer. We have your signature on the document." I asked for a copy. When it arrived in my inbox, I opened the PDF, bracing for the worst. My name was there. But the signature? It was a trace, sloppy, uneven. Someone had tried to copy my handwriting, but they didn't even get the slant right. Gerald! It had to be him. I sat perfectly still, my jaw locked. Not out of disbelief, no, not anymore, but out of fury. Controlled, focused fury. I called Serena, a law school friend now working in private practice. "That's identity fraud, Mina," she said without hesitation. "If they used your name without consent, especially for a mortgage, that's serious. You can press charges. You have proof?" "I'm building it," I said. That same evening I composed the email. Not long, not emotional, just business. Subject: Legal notice. If my name is not removed from the mortgage contract within 10 business days, I will pursue legal action. This includes formal charges of fraud and unauthorized financial use. This is no longer a family matter, it is a legal one. I hit send, no reply, no call, not even a read receipt, just silence. So I did what I had to do. I opened a folder on my desktop, titled it Family Boundaries Evidence. Inside, I saved everything: email chains, screenshots of text messages, old voicemails from my mom asking for help. I recorded a voice memo describing the timeline, adding dates, names, amounts. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about justice, not anymore. It was about reclaiming my narrative. I used to think protecting them meant protecting the idea of family. But protecting myself now meant drawing a line, one I wouldn't let them cross again. 2 days later, while reviewing my credit file, another alert popped up. New loan inquiry. Educational loan request. Borrower, Mina D. Lane. But this time, it wasn't about the house. And this time, it wasn't my dad. The loan alert stared back at me like a punchline I didn't find funny. Educational loan request. Borrower, me. Amount, $14,500. I clicked through, pulse tightening. The school listed? The same graduate program Aurea had posted about 2 semesters ago. The MBA track she bragged she finally got funding for. I called the loan provider instantly. The rep was courteous, clueless. "Yes, Miss Lane, we received this application 3 months ago. The details match our verification process." "What email address was used to apply?" I asked, barely breathing. Pause. aurea.lane.alt@gmail.com. I didn't even feel anger at first, just a cold, vacant nausea. The ride to her house felt shorter than usual. I barely remembered turning off the engine. I knocked hard enough to wake the dead. When Aurea opened the door, her eyes went wide, like she already knew. I held up the printed application. "Tell me you didn't use my name. Tell me you didn't forge another loan under me." She blinked rapidly, then broke. "I didn't think it would actually go through. I was desperate. I didn't qualify, and you have good credit. You just what?" I snapped. Assumed I'd never notice, or that I'd be too nice to do anything about it. "I was going to pay it off," she whispered. "I swear, I wasn't going to let it affect you." I laughed, bitter, tired. "You already have, Aurea. You've been using me like an extension of your own damn account." Her face collapsed. "You've always had everything handled. You're strong. I'm not like you." "No, you're not," I said, "because I would never do this to you." A voice bellowed behind us. "Hey, what the hell is going on?" Gerald stormed out of the car, arms flailing. "You don't come to this house and scream at your sister. You don't make scenes like this." I didn't even flinch. "This isn't her house," I said slowly, turning to him. "Not if my name's attached to it. Not if my credit is holding it up. Every part of her life has my fingerprints on it." He froze, stunned. The neighbors were watching now, peeking through blinds and parted curtains. I stepped back from the porch, not bothering to say goodbye. I was done being their secret supplier, their built-in safety net. On the way to my car, I pulled out my phone and hit speed dial. "Serena, it's time. I'm not just collecting evidence anymore." I paused at the driver's door, voice steady. "I want to file." I spent that week tying every knot tight, scanning, printing, highlighting timelines in yellow and red. Every receipt, every lie, every silence. My lawyer was ready. I was ready. Then my doorman buzzed up. "Miss Lane, you've got a delivery, handwritten, from someone named Marilyn." I almost told him to toss it. Instead, I walked down and took the envelope myself. Thick, cream-colored, Familiar handwriting. Back in my apartment, I stood at the kitchen counter and opened it slowly. It wasn't an apology. Not really. It wasn't grand or flowery or filled with excuses. It just said, I won't ask you to forgive me. I know I haven't earned it. But I want you to know. I see it now. What we did to you. You were always the strong one. Because we made you be. Because we didn't want to carry our own weight. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed to tell you I finally understand. The letter ended without a signature. Just her name, scribbled faintly at the bottom like an afterthought. I read it twice. My throat didn't tighten. My eyes didn't sting the way I thought they would. I folded the letter back into the envelope, slid it into a drawer I didn't open often. Then I sat at my desk, opened a blank email, and typed a single sentence in the subject line. Action required. I CC'd Gerald. Marilyn. Aria. You have 5 business days to remove my name from any accounts, contracts, or financial records you've attached me to, past or present. If not, I will move forward with legal proceedings. This is your only notice. I didn't reread it. I hit send. I stepped out onto my small balcony and took my coffee with me. The sun was low orange over the Austin skyline. No one called, no one replied, and I didn't care. This isn't revenge, I said aloud. This is survival, with my name intact. That afternoon, my phone buzzed, a text from my lawyer. They responded, all 3 of them. Want to talk? I didn't reply to the lawyer's text. I didn't need to. I'd already said everything that mattered. They had 5 days, and I wasn't going to waste another breath begging them to do the right thing. By the end of the week, the documents came through. My name, scrubbed clean from the mortgage, the educational loan application, flagged, rejected, and reported. My credit? Protected again. It was done. Not revenge, not even redemption. Just the long overdue return of my autonomy. Gerald's community board quietly removed him from his chair position. Apparently, signature irregularities didn't sit well with sponsors. He still drove his same truck around town, but fewer people waved. Aria was temporarily suspended from her MBA program pending investigation. Her Instagram grew quieter. No house tours, no boss babe captions. Marilyn never called. But I heard from a neighbor she'd stopped attending her weekly book club. People whispered. That was her punishment, I guess. Silence and side glances. I didn't sue them. I could have. But what I wanted more was peace and distance. 2 months passed. I signed a lease on a small studio space in East Austin. Exposed brick, tall windows, cheap rent. Perfect. I called it Reframe. It was more than design. It was a place for women starting over. One day, a girl named Becca came in, shoulders tight, voice shaky. Her dad had drained her college fund. Her mom called it a family necessity. I didn't give her advice, just listened, then said softly, "It wasn't your debt to pay." It never was. She cried. I didn't. I'd already done my crying in private, in pieces, over years. That night, sorting through old folders, I found the letter again. Mom's. The one she hadn't signed, but had finally written. I read it in full, not flinching this time. I placed it back, shut the drawer. I forgive you, I whispered, but I'm not coming home. As I locked up the studio and stepped out onto the quiet street, I realized something. I wasn't walking away from my family. I was walking toward myself. If you've ever been made to feel like the strong one, the responsible one, the one who's supposed to keep it together while others fall apart, please hear me. That is not love. That is labor, emotional labor, financial labor. And no matter how quietly it's expected, it weighs just as heavy. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You're allowed to protect your name, your peace, your future. I didn't share this story for pity. I shared it because I know I'm not the only one. Somewhere out there, someone is holding the weight of their entire family and being told it's just what strong people do. Well, strength doesn't mean silence, and loyalty doesn't mean self-sacrifice. So if this story resonated with you, if it made you feel seen in some small way, leave a comment below and drop a 1 to let me know I'm not alone. Or tell me, where are you watching from? If this video didn't sit right with you, I'd still love to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about it. And if you want more real stories like this, raw, honest, and healing, Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Because family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who remind you, you matter too. Thanks for watching. See you in the next story.